In this lesson, we're going to do a linear equation review. Our objectives: understand linear equation, review parts of a linear equation. The vocabulary you may need to look up: linear equation, slope, Y-intercept, intercept form, point-slope form, and standard form. Linear equations basically come in three main forms. The most common of these three forms is intercept form. There are two common ways to learn intercept form. You would have learned at least one of these. The first here is what we typically see internationally: y equals a plus bx. In this version, a is known as our y-intercept, also known as our start value. Positive b here is known as our slope, or rate of change, or recursive routine. It just depends on what you've learned. The slope has the plus sign with it because sometimes it could be a negative slope and then that changes to a minus sign. If it's a positive slope, that's a plus sign. Intercept form can also look at the form y equals mx plus b. In this situation, the m is our slope, and the positive b in this situation is our y-intercept. Try not to get confused that the b is used differently in each. It's just whichever form you learned and you use is what I would expect you to use now. Notice that the slope is always the one that's being multiplied by x. It's very important. Point-slope form typically comes in this form, where you have y1 plus b times the difference of x minus x1. In this situation, x1 and y1 are any point on the line. So it could be an intercept, but it could be any other point on the line too. B here, again, is the slope. Plus for a positive slope, minus for a negative slope. Standard form is kind of the weird one because the A, the B, and the C do not mean slope or intercepts or anything like that. To find those things out, what we have to do is solve for y. We have to get y all by itself. When we get y by itself, we'll have it in intercept form, and we can know the slope and the intercept. In point-slope form, to get it in intercept form, we have to distribute and then combine any like terms. Now a quick refresher on the parts of a linear equation. First is slope, otherwise known as rate of change. We've also talked about it as a recursive routine. Typically it is shown one of three ways. Delta y over delta x is one mathematical way to find slope. This means change in y divided by the change in x. Another way is using the slope triangle, which we typically call rise divided by run, or rise over run. And the last one is the slope formula, which is y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. All three give the same answer in the problems. You need to be able to use each one in the correct way, and they should make it easier in the long run. The y-intercept is a point where the line crosses the y-axis. This is always going to be a point that is 0, y. There's a y value there. That value is what we use. The 0 isn't used. The y is used the most because it's an actual value that is typically used. The last thing that we have to remember is just how to graph. And there are two main ways to graph a linear equation. The first is just make a table and fill it out, and then graph all the points, draw your line. That's typically the way most people go with. The second way is to use a shortcut. The shortcut is typically to graph a point, and sometimes that point is just a point that we know of from the linear equation. Sometimes it is a y-intercept. And then from the point, create the slope triangle to get to a second or a third point, and then draw the line that way. And I will show you both of those in class in case you need a refresher on that. Hopefully this brought up some old algebra memories so that you are ready to work with linear equations in geometry. If there's any part of this that you missed or you need to rewatch, please pause, rewind, and rewatch it, and bring any questions to class. Thank you.